Welcome to Trading Lounge and 2019. Okay, so the S&P 500 here, as you know, I've been looking at it, the main trend down here in two ways. One that we're looking at an X up here and a Y down here. So we're looking for a three-wave move of an A and a B and a C wave here. And in the C wave here, we're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down here for wave C, and from that point there we're looking for a move up. The other move that we're looking at is that this current top here, looking at it as wave 5 is a top in play, and if that's the case then we'd be looking at wave 1 here and wave 2 here, and where we have wave Y here we would have wave 3, and then we would have wave 4 here, and then we would continue down for wave 5 to make wave 1 here. So the timing to understand what's what here will be, let's just say that this move up here is correct, and then we move down here. Both counts will have the same move here. It will only be when this wave 4 moves up here. So it will, if it moves up to this space in 5 waves, then we know that we will be looking at a further move to the upside. If it moves to this space here in 3 waves, then we know that it will be a wave 4 and we'll be moving down for wave 5. It won't make any difference in terms of our trading within this particular space here, but it will obviously affect the wave count. So our main game now really is to really stay in this particular trend here for the time being. So let's just take a look at this trend here. So on the 4-hour chart here, looking at it like this here, so we've got our B wave up here, or wave 2 here, and then we're looking down here in terms of 1 here and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the third wave, and then an A and a B and a C for the fourth wave here, and then looking down here. So we certainly don't want to short this market while the market is above the 2500. We would only short it if it was below this. And in fact, let's just go to our trade page here on the 1-hour chart here. So if we're correct, then we're looking for wave 5 down here. So the Elliott wave is really just part of the trading process. The trade setup is the real key here. Well, money management's the key. So, but the setup is, they're all important. I don't want to debate which is more important and so on. But I do understand that the current move up through here is an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. It counts quite nicely as that corrective pattern here. So if we saw a move above this here, above the 2500 or above this high here, then we would need to be long above there. It's that simple. And if the market breaks to the downside, then we need to be short below the next low here. Doesn't look like it here, but on the cash market, wave A and wave C here are the same length within a few points. I just eyeballed it, but it's very close. So as a corrective move, A equaling C here is a helpful scenario for us to understand that it's a corrective rally. But all we need to see now is some evidence. So we want to trade the evidence. So we want to see a move to the downside from here. If we see a move to the upside, then we know that that we're looking at something else here. In terms of looking at something else, I think that one way to look at that too would be this 2-hour chart here. This is quite interesting really. We'll have a look at this on a 15-minute chart, but we've got our A, B and C here, but this here can have wave 1 here, an A and a B and a C here for wave 2 to this point, 5 waves for wave 3 and 4 here, and then 5 waves down here for wave 5 here. So it's possible to have a low in here. it's just an alternative count, but I don't really see too much wrong with it. And if this is going to move, it's important that we just, you don't want to marry an idea because it'll only end up in divorce. So you just need to use the Elliott to help us with the direction. So let's just have a look on the 15-minute chart here. I've done it slightly different on the 15-minute chart here. Different in that I've labelled this here in green rather than blue, and looking for an A and a B and a C wave here, because if that's the case, then we're looking at a bigger picture, which I won't get into just quite yet. But, I know that we've got 5 waves here. We can look at this as an A and a B and a C wave here. A little bit dodgy, but it's okay. But it looks better looking on the cash market. And then wave 3 here, wave 4 here, and 1 and 2. Well, third wave's a bit short, 4th and 5th here. But it's possible. So this is why we need to look at, being long above this area here. So look, I just wanted to put that forward. Let's have a look at the Nasdaq, but let's also I might just want to have a look at Amazon for a second. So just give me a second here. Where are we? Amazon. So with Amazon here, I've got this wave B up here. This is a 1-hour chart. Wave 1 and 2, 1 here, ABC for 2, down for 3, 4, and 5 here. So looking at this as a wave 4 and looking for this to move down. But it's the same thing here as well. If I go to the tick chart here, we just really want to be looking. I know that the move up here can be counted as an A and a B and a C here. But at the same time, this medium level here, 1500, this is where the market is vibrating and dancing across here, isn't it? So it's the same thing here as well. A new high here would present a move to the upside, and of course a breach of, let's say, this low here would help us with the downside. We need to be on the right side of the market. So for me, the right side of the market is being on the right side of the closest largest number, and in this case it's the 1500 here. So it takes a little bit of patience, but working with these highs and lows at this level here, I could bring in the sub-levels here, which would be group 1, which would be 10, 20, and 30, and support on top of 30. Let's just do that a bit here. I think it's interesting. So this is group 1, and then group 2 here is 80, 72, close enough at this stage, and 65 here, down a little bit further. So when I'm using group 1 and group 2 here on a large number here, it could be any large number, it's just the fact that this group 1 here, I've got to draw over this side on the tick chart, group 1 and group 2 here, this is the range that the market would vibrate in. Okay, so I always really just allow the market to do its thing there. If the 530, if the 1530 here becomes the 30, becomes number 3 here, becomes the tested support, it's okay for it to trade up, and coming back down here, it actually needs to eventually sit on this number here. So it can trade above it and drop back down below here and then still be part of this number here. But if it finds a tested support here, then I know that the market is leaving the 1500 and will move up from there. So a tested support on number 3 will clarify that. So that's the safe trade. And the same to the downside here as well. Once group 2 here becomes the retested resistance, the 1465, then it's but the market's basically leaving this here. So you could short in here, but you're in the danger zone. Normally what I do here is I look at this number in the middle here, which is the 72 number, and I'll just put that in there a little bit more accurately, 1472. So we're just splitting hairs here. But 1472 here, if that becomes the retested resistance, then I start shorting from that point, and I look to add under the 65 once that becomes the retested resistance. And then the next level down is the midpoint here, which is the 50 here. So the market's likely to bounce off the 50. So you either use it as a target and take profit. I always take profit before I get to the 50, always at number 3, because 3, 2 and 1 become very choppy environments. But in a nutshell, we'll get a bounce off 50 that can take us back to 60 and then down again. So, but once the 50 becomes the retested resistance, then you can look to add there as well. So they're the places to add. So with that in mind, let's go to the Nasdaq here, which is in this situation here. So we're looking for an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. So we've got our 5 waves here. We've got our A wave and our C wave here with 5 waves. So we don't want to see another top here. If we see another top here, then if we see a new top here, then any shorts that you probably all piled out of shorts anyway from Christmas, but start working it again. But anyway, a break to the downside here, then we can look to be short. Also too, this here, if I can copy this, once the number 2 here becomes the retested resistance, like it's tested as a retested resistance, that's a good place to short, because when this is also group 1 here as well. So if the number 2 becomes the retested resistance at this point after the rally, then it's going to be pulled down to the 6,000. It will be a choppy environment in here, but you'll need to keep the stops out of the way. And on to the upside here. This is actually a long trade setup here, because this is the top of group 1 here of 6,000. So this is 1, 2 and 3 again. So if this becomes the support here, so it has tested it as it's had the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then the A, the B and the C here. So far as I'm concerned, as from a trading, putting the trading hat off and taking the analysis hat off, if this, well, in fact, if this becomes this, if a new high here is made, then we'll trade long. In fact, I'd bring it down to this level here, 1 point above that. If that's breached, then but wait for the cash market, because there might be a bit of movement from the market makers on this and the futures market. But that to me is a long trade setup here. So I'd be happy to go long here in this case. So I don't, even though I've labelled this as an A and a B and a C, I don't have any evidence of a move down so far. That's the reality. Okay, so we'd need that evidence, because in fact we're trading against the trend here. Yes, we've got the main trend here, but in this space here we're be trading against the trend. So you need to be mindful of what you're doing. So any new trades into the market in this new turn here should be smaller than you would normally trade. And if you do trade long here, then the target will be to the 6,500 up here. And in that case here, we'd see the arrival, the reaction here, which would be in 3 waves, and then the first high above the level here. And then there would be a correction here like this. And then, so you get out here, and then you wait for these setups to be on this side over here. So even though I'm bearish with things, I don't take my eye off the ball in terms of, trades to the long side. So, yeah. Alrighty. Thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Cheers.